Okay, I am officially hooked on Riverdale, and the second episode, Chapter 2, A Touch of Evil, revealed some really big things, and I'm breaking them down right here on this episode of What Happened. Welcome back, everyone. Lisa here, and Riverdale has its first official suspect in the murder case of Jason Blossom. That's right, an arrest, or at least a suspect, has been taken in for questioning, but I'm going to get to that later on in this episode. First, let's kick this episode off with a little bit of eye candy. Sorry, I had to. I just couldn't help myself. KJ Appa, whatever you're doing, just keep doing it, please. Okay, time to get serious. In this episode, we get a lot of back and forth when it comes to Betty, Archie, and Veronica. One minute they've mended the wounds from the first episode, the next Betty can't handle it anymore, she hates them both, and then all seems to be forgiven, and I don't know, it just all goes back and forth, but in the very end of the episode, Betty and Veronica have made up. They vow to never let a boy come between them again, right as Archie conveniently walks into Pop's. We also learned that Veronica's mom, Hermione, is now a waitress at Pop's. Veronica still has enough money to make Magnolia cupcakes get flown in from New York. Reggie is the biggest douche ever, and at this school, they seem to have pep rallies actually at the football games, which I thought happened before the football games at school during the day, but maybe that was just the high school I went to. Who knows? So those were a few things that happened in the episode, but let's move on to the biggest reveals of this episode. First up, we do get a lot more of Cole Sprouse, aka Jughead, in this episode, which is awesome. I love seeing him back on screen. He's doing a great job in this role. Now, we know Archie and Jughead have been best friends forever, but there's been a rift, and we haven't known why until now. Jughead confronts Archie, and we learn that they were supposed to go on a road trip during the summer over the 4th of July. But at the last minute, Archie canceled, and, well, we all know why. To get a little lovin' from Cougar Grundy, but Jughead doesn't know why yet. The second really big or revealing moment goes to Alice Cooper. Once again, she's being controlling and shady AF, and this time we see her in the morgue of all places. And we learn what stands out about Jason's body from his autopsy.
Marbling of the veins, signs of scavenger activity. Ligature marks on both wrists and a hint of cryonecrotic preservation.
We also see that Alice has paid off the pathologist for this information. What is she going to do with it exactly? I guess we'll just have to wait and see. Maybe she's going to use it to frame someone. Maybe she's trying to cover up her own things. Who knows? Moving on to Archie. Now, he is struggling a lot with his guilt in this episode from what happened out there on the 4th of July when he heard the gunshot. And again, he goes to Mrs. Grundy to plead with her to let him tell the truth. And she's been pretty firm on her stance that, no, that is not happening, and I'm not getting fired from my job. This all changes when Archie asks her if what they actually have is real, and he says that if it's not, then he has no idea what he's protecting or why he's protecting this information. Then you see a little light bulb go off in Mrs. Grundy's head, and all of a sudden, she has a change of heart, aka, I think she's totally putting on an act. What is she so afraid of? Like, I don't think it's just losing her job. Like, there's gotta be something else definitely going on here that she's trying to protect. And it makes me wonder, Mrs. Grundy, is Archie really the first student you've hooked up with? This leads to the fourth most revealing moment of this episode. As Mrs. Grundy and Archie are nuzzling their little noses together, someone walks by the door, and it just so happens to be Jughead. Jughead now knows that there's some hanky-panky going on between Archie and Mrs. Grundy, and he goes to Archie's house to confront him. And Archie confesses kind of everything to Jughead about the romance and about the gunshot, and Jughead basically says, hey, you gotta tell somebody, but of course, Archie's like, hey, no, this is my secret to tell. You better not say anything, and he threatens Jughead right as Archie's dad walks out. Don't worry, eventually they make up, and by the end of this episode, all is well with Archhead, or Jugchi, or whatever. All's well in Archie and Jughead land. Moment 5 comes from nice girl Betty, who we learn has a actual not so nice side. Creepy Alice, her mom, tells her that she shouldn't be hanging out with Archie, Veronica, or Cheryl, or practically anyone that actually lives in Riverdale because they're all the spawn of Satan. Now right after this happens, we see Betty go and make up with Archie and Veronica and eventually try to be nice to Cheryl, and she's definitely doing this to spite her mother, and we kind of don't blame her. Earlier in the episode, Veronica gave Betty this coupon for hers and hers pedicures and stuff that they were eventually supposed to go on together, but they get in another fight and Betty invites Cheryl instead, and we pick up in Betty's room where Cheryl's putting on this really nice girl act, you know, being kind of creepy actually, when all of a sudden she just starts asking too many questions about Betty's sister Polly. And basically Cheryl just starts asking way too many questions and boom!
Why are you asking me so many questions about Polly? Cheryl.
Because you dumb cow. Someone shot my brother and I think it was your crazy, tweaked out sister.
Damn, Cheryl. If you thought that she could turn quickly, watch Betty finally reach her boiling point.
Get out of my house.
Not until you tell me. Get the hell out of my house
Before I kill you.
Oh, Betty, 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 Betty. Probably a very poor choice of words to use there. It's not really wise to say in a town where there's an open murder investigation that you're gonna kill somebody. Our final big reveal comes, you guessed it, at the very end of the episode, as they usually do with these mystery shows. Just as Archie is going to Principal Weatherby's office to hopefully confess about what he heard that morning, we see Sheriff Keller and Weatherby storm out of the door and go to the science class that all our main characters so conveniently have together. Cheryl immediately kind of stands up and basically says, you know, I know what you're here for. Because of the autopsy, just take me. Like, holds up her hands and is like, let's go. Which is kind of strange, but that's not even like the big shocker. This is.
That Jason didn't die on July 4th as we believed, but over a week later.
God damn, the show just got so good. Like, I am hooked. I need to know what's gonna happen in everything. I feel like it's too obvious for Cheryl to have done it, so somehow they have to prove her innocence, but I'm kind of not surprised she's the first person that's been arrested and the first suspect. But then again, there's just so many shady-ass people in this town to choose from. So for me, those were the most revealing moments in this episode. I want to know what yours were. What were your favorite moments, your favorite scenes? Do you have any idea who the killer is yet? Leave your guesses in the comments, or you can hit me up on social media at Lisa_Heiser at Channel Media. And, you know, I think the show just keeps getting better with each episode, and I know it's only episode 2, but, you know. Now, if you want some more videos, you can check them out over here on my channel, and be sure to subscribe because I'm going to be right back here in Riverdale next week. You don't want to miss it. Plus, I got interviews and cool things on this channel. I'm Lisa. I will see y'all next time. Also, I realize I talk really, really fast, and I gotta learn to slow that down.